Welcome to How We Heard It, the podcast about music, pop culture, movies, and more, with your hosts Wayne Bledsoe and Chuck Campbell.
Welcome, everybody. This is Chuck Campbell here with
Wayne Bledsoe.
Hey, Wayne.
Hey, Chuck.
So, our subject this week, we talked about it, and I'm not even sure what we said at this point. I think I was talking about songs that have been canceled, or banned songs, either banned by the radio or by fans or by performers. And when I was doing my thing of trying to package it into three little pieces like I always do, I ended up going down the rabbit hole of just canceling and cancellation of things and how things got canceled. And then I started thinking about how I'm sort of ambivalent about a lot of this stuff because one, flat out to start with, I'm against censoring art.
Right.
Okay. I think it's wrong to censor art. But since I have to go back and forth on every single thing, I'm like, oh my God, there's some stuff out there. It's like, do people need to be saying that? Is that okay? Because, anyway, I've been just twisted around. I think what I'm for, and this is idealistic Chuck talking here, but what I'm for is for people to just have civil conversation. We're always changing as a society, and what's appropriate changes as time goes by. It has, and when you get older, you start thinking, oh, these people today, they're just, but you remember when you were young, and then older people than you didn't get how things were changing. And and what we need is just civil discourse. I was thinking about how, there's like new terminology all the time. It seems like it's coming up like every day or every other day, and I see things and hear things like, like for example, we don't use homeless anymore because the homeless term implies with the word less, and all this. So it's supposed to be unhoused or unsheltered, and then there are things like died by suicide. You have to say, and you say died by suicide instead of commit suicide because commit has like this negative, kind of antagonistic. I know you're looking at me. It's like, and I've even seen people use the term unalived as. I know, but I mean that's how it is. And I just came across this, even though apparently it's been around for a while. People use the term SA, and SA stands for sexual assault. And I was watching a video where a guy was saying, "Oh, just so you know, there's some talk of SA in here that might trigger people." Right. And I thought, "What's SA? Is that San Antonio or South Africa?" And
someone should write an essay about it.
Yeah, like a good essay of mine,
on SA.
Yeah, on this. But anyway. So, and the natural reaction is your reaction right now. You've got crossed brow, and you're like, "Why are they changing everything?" And I get it, and I feel that way too at first. And then when I think about it, and I think about the logic, and I think about how things do change, it's like, okay, I'm going to try to adapt to that. I'm going to try to make those changes as much as I can. But the important thing is when people bring it up to you, that they bring it up in a kind way. Right. And nobody's kind anymore. It's always, as soon as they find out that there's a new term, then they're insistent that everyone else use that. And how did they not know that already? Even if they just found out 2 hours before you, and it really goes both ways. This whole, there are people, across the political spectrum, they want to use this as an up thing to gain power over other people, and to just demean and shame. And some people, and it's just like, just be civil about it. Just be civil and kind and allow each other to make mistakes, and it'll all be okay, because it's always been okay, because this is how history's been.
And don't make whatever the new term is, the people who have been called that term, everybody go along with it. I mean, you can't expect people who've had, slang terms that are been used to hurt people to all accept them as okay.
Right.
And sometimes it's unreasonable when a word that somebody has used that it's been a better word is now like
Trashed.
incorrect.
Right. Yeah, and I know what you mean. I mean, it's like the reality of being a 22-year-old in New York City, surrounded by a diverse group of people is really different from a 60-year-old living in Alabama, who's maybe been in a small community or something. And you have to accept your differences. And
the problem that I have with some of this is that it, instead of inspiring discussion, it shuts down all discussion.
It does, yes.
And that is not helping your cause if your cause is to enlighten people.
Exactly.
And some of the stuff, there's one song in particular I was going to talk about that it's like, so there were songs that were meant to help enlighten people.
Right.
And now, because everybody thinks from the womb you should know everything.
right.
That you can't, there's no room for that.
Right. And I got news for you 20-year-olds. In about 20 years, you're going to be completely wrong.
Really?
And everything you thought and believed was open and free and fair is going to be questioned and changed.
And you're also going to look around and say, dang, how are those people, so many people in my generation, a bunch of assholes? I mean, because everybody's hating on the boomers right now, and I'm a boomer, and you're like barely outside of it.
Yeah.
But I'm actually in what they call the Jones era because we get blamed for all the boomer stuff, but we didn't get the good things that they got.
Right.
But you're going to get old, and you're going to look around, and you're going to see a lot of people who are jerks.
Right.
And
then you're going to be a jerk.
Right. Because you're getting pissed off.
Because everyone's a jerk.
Everybody's giving you grief over it.
Right.
I can't tell you how many things on Facebook. It's like, I read this anti-boomer stuff, and it's like, they'll say, well, you're not like everybody else.
Right.
It's like, well, nobody's like everybody else.
No, right. Exactly. And you got to focus on the positive. They're positive, great people in every generation, and there always have been. And there are always people trying to meet in the middle and to learn and all of that. And don't let the negative people, take charge of everything.
Yeah, and we just, that's the thing, the left and the right, it's all a circle. You meet in the crazy town.
Know.
If you go around the circle, it's nuts.
You know what's worse? Actually, it might be the people in the middle. Because it's like they keep changing sides to stay in power. So it's like no matter where you're coming from, they're going to come back at you, Yeah. So anyway, that's way off subject, and that's where I went when I was coming up with songs.
Let me start with one.
Okay.
That was offensive when it came out.
Okay.
And it didn't stay on the charts very long. But in 1962, the Crystals recorded a song called "He Hit Me," and it felt like a kiss.
Yeah.
And your friend Lana Del Rey, your buddy there, she referenced that in the song.
She had a song called "Ultraviolence," which was sort of semi-banned as depicting violence against women. Mm-hmm. And it's like, do you understand the song? This is a woman singing about violence against women, But go ahead.
And the original song is written by Carole King and Jerry Goffin and recorded by Phil Spector, who was an abusive jerk, even though he was a pivotal producer. It was inspired, which I didn't realize until reading about it recently, that it was inspired by their babysitter, who was Little Eva, who they gave the locomotion to.
Right.
She made that a hit.
Right.
And she was talking about her boyfriend hitting her.
Right.
And it was, it's just because he really loves me.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they wrote a song, and Carole King has said through the years that she wished she'd never had anything to do with that song.
Right.
Because people took it as, okay.
Right.
But at the time, people were angry about it. But there's so much violence against women in songs. I mean, and songs that I've liked. Winona Harris's "Bloodshot Eyes" is kind of a funny song. It was, it's funny, but it's not. And then "Hey Joe," which was everybody did. Jimi Hendrix did it. Tim Rose did it. It was a big song in the '60s, and it came from the folk side. And it's about a guy who's going to go kill his girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
And I do think that as for light entertainment, this is not a good subject.
No, not a great subject for light entertainment.
But I don't think that you should say that you shouldn't write about it.
Right.
Because it's there and it's real.
Right. Well, and I will say, too, in my deep research of, I guess, what was another topic, but ended up being what I'm talking about today, I saw, like, just whole, like, long list of artists who should be canceled or who have done questionable things that would get them canceled. And, oh, my God, the sexual abuse against women just rampant, from way back, from before our time, and it just dominates, all of the it got worse because not just rampant abuse against women, underage women and underage girls, boys, whatever. So, and there's other violence that's come up over the years, and homophobia has got a much, bigger focus, and transphobia and all that stuff. But, and that's kind of the whole thing. It's like when you're just kind of celebrating criminal behavior, it's like, and it's not civil disobedience that you're celebrating,
Right. Well, we all think about, all the great rock gods of the 60s, they're underage groupies.
Right.
Who in that crowd did not wind up having a relationship, one-night relationship with an underage girl? And we haven't canceled them, but it was also, people didn't look at it the same way as they do now.
I know, and it's hard to explain that, and it's hard to say that, but it's like, it was definitely wrong.
Yeah.
And I know that, like, some countries have different legal ages.
Right.
So, whereas in America, it's 18. So anyone younger than 18, absolutely forbidden. But in France, it may be, I don't even know what it is, but some countries in Europe, it's like 16 or whatever, which would be criminal here. And I think in some other countries, it's even 21. So it kind of varies from country to country.
In some countries, it's 13.
Right. And you just hate having that conversation at all,
And there's so many songs, about somebody who's an adult lusting after an underage person.
Exactly, because when you're talking... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's exactly the one thing that I thought of when you said this was Ringo Starr, you're 16. You're beautiful in your mind.
Yeah. Well, and of course that's... I don't remember who wrote that one. But all these... What?
I was thinking the Kiss song. Is it Christine? 16, yeah.
Oh, and there's tons of them
out
there. But at the same time, when you think back to the 50s, when a lot of these songs were written, those weren't. But half the senior class of girls was married. People got married at 16. My mom got married at 16.
Yeah.
My older sister got married at 16.
Yeah.
And that was a common thing. And you go back further in time, and it was even younger.
I know.
And people don't understand that in 1900, in the holler or wherever you were,
right? 16 was marrying age.
14 was marrying age to some extent, and it was like you don't have a whole lot of choices.
Right.
So a 14-year-old girl might have looked at a 19, 20-year-old guy and thought, "Okay, here we go. This is my chance."
Well, and that's kind of it. The thing too is like, well, what's the age disparity? Because
that's the biggest.
A 20-year-old with an 18-year-old, so what? But if it's an 18-year-old and a 40-year-old or a 50-year-old, it's like, okay, that's really creepy.
Every time Mick Jagger sings, and I love the Rolling Stones, but when he sings songs and it's like not only grandpa but great grandpa up there singing about a teenage girl, it's like this is really creepy.
So creepy, so creepy. But this isn't all we're talking about today. Did you want to talk more about underage women?
Well, there were
beyond just underage women, there's the abusive women, and a lot of these, maybe by coincidence or not coincidence, a lot of these guys, especially, of course, were charged with abuse, which is different than just dating an underage. You know what I mean? It's like,
Well, and you think about it as being an older thing. You think of Jerry Lee Lewis marrying his 13-year-old cousin.
right. Well, Elvis, how old was Priscilla? Wasn't she like?
When they met? I think she was like 14.
Okay.
I don't think she got married. I don't think they got married till she was like 18.
Okay.
But then you've got R. Kelly with Aaliyah,
Yeah.
and she was 14.
Yeah.
When she recorded the song "Age Is Just a Number,"
Yeah.
or was that the actual? Well, it's ain't nothing but a number.
Ain't nothing but
I think that's the name of the song.
Yeah. And there's like fallout from this too. Not, I mean, R. Kelly's in prison now,
Right.
So
As he should
yay.
be.
So there was some justice there, but you had people like R. Kelly. What he was suspected of doing was known for years and years, right? And then you had like Lady Gaga did a duet with him not long before the prison and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's like she had to know. And it was a filthy song.
Yeah.
And then, after the fact, she pulls it and is kind of like trying to take the high road and everything. But it's like there's a lot of guilt by association because people do this and they get away with it. And, I mean, there's no telling when we're going to know everything with P. Diddy and what's going on there and who's involved and who was an aggressor, or who was an attacker, and who was a victim, and what's even going to come out, and how many. But it's been talked about for so long by so many people, and it just went on and on and on.
And they're willing, they're willing to ignore it from some people,
Right.
and that's I think that's the most disturbing thing about all that is, if you're this person, it's okay,
Right.
and it's not okay.
No. I totally that's the thing. It's like I don't care who it is.
Right.
Everybody gets the same, treatment. Everybody gets, dissociated, whatever. So.
Well, that's the thing with narcissists, though, is that they push the limits as far as they can.
Yeah.
And when they get away with it, it empowers them, and so
Yes.
they push it even further.
Yeah.
And they get to the point where they just don't even think they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
And it's just a joke. And it's like, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can
And
do
this is John
as long as I
Baker,
want.
by the way.
Yes, John Baker.
there.
Hey. So, well, do you want to talk about other kinds of? we could talk about this forever.
We really could talk about the whole sexism and the abuse of women for a long time. I would like to say there are songs that were fun, like if you want to be happy by Jimmy Soul. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife, which is based on
really?
a Calypso song.
Well, yeah, and
you've
it's like
got that.
that's kind of this list I was telling you about of like all the artists who've done all these things,
Right.
And it would just like stop on all kinds of famous rockers and hip hop artists and everything with just these big long lists of crimes that they were convicted of and accused of, and then it would hit something like Kelly Clarkson. What was it? She admitted spanking her children. Seriously, that was her big offense. And I don't think
believe in
corporal
spanking
punishment.
either.
Yeah, I don't believe in
Everybody's on a
corporal
different
punishment.
spot on the
But-
continuum, though.
yeah, and I think there was one. It was like Carrie Underwood. Someone from her Twitter account liked a Twitter post made by an anti-vaxxer or something like that. So that might not even be Carrie Underwood, but it's like, let's not put her up there with convicted, murderers.
Exactly. I mean,
So-
there are degrees on everything, and that's. I mean, I do think, and it's kind of exhausting that people are so sensitive about everything. Like I said, that they can't even discuss it.
Right.
But
I'm exhausted by that too. I really am. And this list, just to say on it one more time, I have to bring this one up. It said, Julie Brown's The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun makes light of school shootings.
back when there were no school shootings.
Back when there were no school shootings. And plus, it was an absurdist comedy song. Right. I mean, it was just absolutely blatantly humorous. And now it's like, does that need to be canceled now?
Right.
And, the thing about it is I didn't see any calls for canceling Boomtown Rats, I Don't Like Monday.
Right.
And that was about a real school shooting that happened, And it's like, okay, someone makes a joke, clearly a joke. I mean, we could go through the lyrics, and it's a funny song, too. The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. we could talk about the lyrics and be like, if you don't understand that that's a joke. And I get it. It's like, okay, well, it doesn't matter if it's a joke or not if you are truly terrified of being shot at in school,
Right.
or if you've been at a school where there was a shooting and all that.
Well, and then Pumped Up Kicks.
Pumped Up Kicks, yeah.
Another one,
yeah,
which
it keeps
was-
coming up. What was it, Jeremy, the Pearl Jam?
Yeah, Jeremy was the same thing.
so-
And then, but it is interesting because artists want to artistically sympathize with the perpetrators.
Right.
You know, I don't like Mondays. It doesn't excuse it, but I mean, this has happened from the beginning of art because artists would write about criminals. They'd write about Jesse James or Billy the Kid.
Knoxville Girl.
Yeah, Knoxville Girl. I mean, the murder ballads.
Yeah.
You do things from the perspective, but in a sense, it's trying to understand it. And I mean, I'm on the fence on whether Pumped Up Kicks should be on the radio. I mean,
Right.
I probably wouldn't have played. It's a good. I mean, I think it's a very well done song, but I probably wouldn't have put it on the radio considering everything's going on.
Right.
But I don't think that you should cancel these artists because they decided to write a song about this.
Right.
And it's a sort of
Yeah, I'm in that same cycle. I don't really have a black and white answer to all of these songs are different from each other.
Yeah.
All the ones that we've talked about that are about school shootings,
Yeah, and I mean, it's just in violence in general. I mean, people are always going to write about violence. They're always going to be fascinated by violence. I mean, look at all the people who follow serial killers.
Yeah.
And there's nothing fun, or shouldn't be anything fun about it. But, when Sufjan Stevens wrote the John Wayne Gacy song, which is really one of the scariest songs I have ever heard, and also beautiful, it does.
The beauty kind of makes it scary.
I know that's what does it for me.
You
is
could write
like,
a song about a serial killer and make it so beautiful that it's attractive.
yeah, and then but it's so the lyrics are so chilling.
Yeah.
But it's art, and I don't think that we.
Well, if you do break down, I mean, there's something to be said for, like a lot of people want capital punishment for
Right.
serial killers. There's a lot to be said about analyzing them and figuring out how their mind works,
No, I
and how
totally
sometimes it's not that far removed from how normal brains work.
And that's the thing. I was upset when Jeffrey Dahmer was killed because he was one of the few honest serial killers who wanted to know what was wrong with him.
Right.
And doesn't change that he was a monster and that he deserved to die, but it changes that we don't get to try to understand what made him that.
Yeah, and if you understand, you can kind of nip other people in the bud who might be going down that path, with the right kind of treatment or whatever, and make them, not a danger.
Right.
So,
But anyway, that's just one aspect of these songs. What else you got, Chuck?
oh, geez. Well, I could give you some lines from The Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun. But, so tell me about, since the Kinks are such a big thing with you, tell me about Lola and exactly what So in the song, the hero of the song becomes, I guess, infatuated with what's probably transgender. They use
Right. At the time it was
transvestite then, but that's different, and possibly a cross-dresser. But that was a different kind of song because it was kind of an unapologetic,
Exactly. And that was what was so. I mean, I'd read a criticism from somebody who was obviously very young about it doesn't excuse the transphobia. It's like, well, let me tell you what it was like in '71.
Right. And I looked at the lyrics and it's like, I don't even really see where the transphobia is. Really.
Well, because obviously he's weirded out by being attracted.
Right.
But the whole point of that song is, I'm glad I'm a man and so is Lola.
Right. Right.
And it's like, nope, I don't care.
Right. Right.
It's like, this is...
Yeah. They were both glad that they were
it's
men.
positive.
Right.
Well, and Ray Davis has just got such a finely tuned sense of irony anyway.
Right.
There's a song on Give the People What They Want called Art Lover.
Yeah.
Where he's singing from the perspective of an old man who goes to the park and watches the little girls play. And he's
Right.
like, I'm not a flasher in a raincoat, I'm an art lover.
Right.
But
But it's obvious that he's...
but what he is a non-offending pedophile.
Yeah.
And I mean, somebody who's non-offending,
Right.
okay. I mean, and that's the thing that I think Ray Davies got on that is, it's a little different, but he writes from the perspective of somebody he's imagining. Of course, with Lola, there's the rumor that, well, actually he has said it was inspired. He changes his story sometimes, but somebody that Dave hooked up with, his brother.
Oh, yeah. Throw Dave under the bus.
Dave's like,
Dave under
thanks
the
a lot.
But that was what I was talking about before. It's like, here's something that's, at the time, it was banned on certain stations. Ray Davies said it was banned here in Knoxville. I mean, I was 11 when it came out, so I don't remember if it was. But
I don't ever remember hearing it on the radio. But
I heard it like 2 or 3 years after it came out.
Oh, I did see that they faded out. They did an edit to where they would fade out the end, where I guess it gets more controversial toward the end of the song. And then there was also like a German group or Australian group or something that they put a skip in the song to just bounce over like, one of the offending lines.
Well, the funny thing is it was banned certain places here because of the content.
Right.
And in England, it was banned because he used the word Coca-Cola.
Yeah. And there was a trademark violation.
Well, and in England, cross-dressing is a tradition.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Right.
Everybody does it.
Yeah.
Entertainment.
Yeah, but it was funny because he was here. They were finally getting to tour the U.S. again, and he had to fly back to England to record Cherry Cola rather than Coca-Cola.
Right. Cherry Cola. Yeah.
But it's one of those things. It's like it was a groundbreaking song, and it really upsets me that there are people who don't get. This is one of the reasons. This is like a chink in the armor of the prejudice against trans people. Is when this came out in '71, because there was
nobody standing up for trans people. Nobody.
And here's a song that does.
Yeah, I mean Lola is a perfectly good character. I don't think Lola did anything,
No, it's the whole thing is positive. I mean, it's like
they had a little chemistry and they had a thing, and so there you go.
And at the end, it's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm glad I did that. Yeah.
And that's different from the sort of degeneracy of Walk on the Wild Side.
Well, with Walk on the Wild Side, it's the degeneracy, but Walk on the Wild Side is all written about real people.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
I mean, that's Lou Reed writing about all the people who were in the Andy Warhol factory.
The factory.
Holly is Holly Woodlawn, and Little Joe is Joe D'Alessandro, who was in a bunch of movies, and they're all real, and what he depicts happened.
Yeah. Well, I want to pivot to someone else then, as long as we're talking about that, and that's Cher with Half Breed. And it's not just Half Breed with her. There was also Gypsy Tramp. But I want to talk about Half Breed to start with. Now it's under fire for cultural appropriation, and it's like, oh, she's monetizing, this stuff. But her song was a pointed song about, the mistreatment of biracial people and how they, and the songs are pretty earnest. And she goes, when you're not welcome, you don't hang around, and what else could I do? And nobody wanted me and all that stuff. And it's like, I don't remember a lot of positive songs supporting biracial people way back then, whenever this song was out.
Yeah, and these songs were those songs that came out in that era. That one being one of them, and "Love Child" being one about being an illegitimate child.
Yeah,
and that was I can't remember. I'm sure there's another biracial one out there. It's not coming to me, but these were songs that were trying to educate people.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to put a human face on people who are, down the ranks as far as cultural status goes.
Right, and the idea of cultural appropriation, I understand a lot of it.
Right.
But
well, now Cher there's a video where she's, in full like Indian gear, or not full, actually, tantalizingly partial.
I remember that.
Sitting on a horse, and it's like, oh, well, she certainly, but So I mean, I get that, I guess, but the overall impact of the song and the meaning of the song was very positive and very progressive, and trying to illuminate the problems that some people were facing back then, who just couldn't fit in anywhere. Yeah, they weren't allowed to.
And it doesn't play so well today when you listen to that song.
Right.
But people need to understand that this was a song that attempted to do something positive.
Right.
And art, you take on the guise of who you're trying to sing about. That's one thing about cultural appropriation. There are things that are important, I understand, that you should not do. But if somebody's an actor, I mean, people are angry sometimes because cisgender, which I don't like that word either, but somebody plays somebody who's trans, like Jared Leto played in Dallas Buyers Club. But
I've grown to really like cisgender because it is kind of important in discussions like this,
right.
Because when you say, otherwise you're going to say, real woman versus a trans woman or something like that. So to say cisgender and trans, you can still call them women either way. But anyway, go ahead. That's just like...
Yeah, I just don't...
That's fine.
Yeah.
I know you're both of our hearts are in the right place.
Right.
So we don't have to agree on everything.
Well, sometimes it's just finding the right term.
Right. Yeah.
And that's certainly changed a lot through the years.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that people get canceled is like, oh, you used that word. And it was like, well, that was the word that was not the slur.
Right.
It became a slur, but when he said it or she said it, that was just the word you used.
Yeah, it's like Negro, the American. The national.
Well, the National Association of Colored
People,
which you don't use now, but that still exists. So it's
But you can say people of color.
You can definitely say people of color.
What's the difference?
Well, the difference is, and I get it.
I get it too.
Is it was used derogatorily.
Yeah.
By certain people.
Once terminology gets in the wrong hands, then it's finding new terminology.
Right. Sure. And and you and I have discussed this. I mean, the use of the word queer.
Yep.
Which is now the common used word.
Common for some. It
was a pejorative for a long time.
Well, and that's why I won't ever use it.
Right. And there are some people who hold on to the pejorative meaning, and they don't want, they don't identify as queer. They're gay, or something like that. So it's like, you can't disrespect that. That's going back to the 22-year-old in New York City versus the 60-year-old in Alabama.
And I understand the reasoning. The reasoning is the whole Lenny Bruce routine of you take the word, the slur, and you take ownership of it, and nobody can use it to hurt you.
Right. Well, and that's the N word too.
Right.
And is that working? It depends on who you are and what group you run with, and all of that stuff is to, when people of color are using it amongst each other and friends, and using it as a term of endearment. But it can get wrong so fast. And not all people of color approve of its being used either. So,
and it's
know your audience,
Well, know your audience, and it is confusing for certain people. When I was working landscape with a guy, he used the N word.
Okay.
And I said,
how old was he?
He was a young guy. He was 20 years younger than me.
Okay.
And he was my supervisor, actually.
Oh, that's humiliating.
Well, and I said, listen. I said, you're not going to use that word around me.
Right.
I said, I have lots of black friends.
Right.
And that's a word that I won't tolerate being used around me.
Right.
And he said, well, okay, well, I understand. Okay, but I don't understand why they can use it and everybody else can't. And I said, you can call me a hillbilly.
Yeah.
Because you're a hillbilly too.
Yeah.
And I said, if somebody from New York City called me a hillbilly,
nope.
That's a whole nother
That's
thing.
a whole other story, not having that. Yeah.
Right. So, again, like with the N-word and all the rap songs and everything, I get it.
I'm so uncomfortable with it, even if I'm enjoying the hip-hop song and I'm enjoying the artist and I get how they're using it, I still cringe whenever I hear anybody use it.
Well,
and I guess I should,
Yeah, and I think it's for us. I mean, old white guys, it oughta.
Yeah, it oughta. Well, that's bringing up I wanted to talk about Knoxville's own Morgan Wallen.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, because this is an interesting thing, and it's a generational thing, and all of that. But of course, Knoxville, he was on one of those shows. It was either American Idol or The Voice, and and he made a little ripple early on, and he was eliminated. And this was, I don't know, like 10 years ago. Well, not 10 years ago, but probably maybe 8 years ago.
Right.
And he kind of like churned around a little bit for a while, for a couple of years, and he was like getting his footing and all that stuff. And then he just skyrocketed.
Right.
And he just had like over the top success. He was like becoming suddenly the number one country singer. And he had a couple of problems. I think he had a couple of DUIs.
Right.
So it's like, country music DUIs, that's probably not the most uncommon problem to have. Yeah. But Morgan Wallen, his age, he is a big rap fan.
Right.
Okay. And I think there's that, when we were talking about the people getting away with sexual assault and everything, and they just keep getting away and pretty soon they think they're untouchable and all that stuff. A video surfaced of Morgan Wallen, and he was talking to one of his white friends, and it was like late at night or something, and he was hollering at him like it was outside in a neighborhood or something, and was just like making a joke with him and called him his N-word.
Right.
Which... And this is the thing that you see happen over and over again. White people who love hip hop, especially the younger ones, and they think this is my culture and these are my people,
right.
And I'm one of these people. I don't want to be separate from them. This is my favorite type of music, and it's definitely one of Morgan Wallen's favorite, even though he does country.
Right.
But it's when pow, so that video comes out, and it's like, okay, is he sunk forever? Are they going to forgive him, or what's it going to take? And he went through the motions that you do when you get canceled like this.
Right.
Deep apologies, canceling shows. He got kicked off of all the awards shows that he was being. Yeah, Saturday Night Live dumped him, and he went through the apology tour stuff and all that. And and he did the whole meeting with people of color and artists and everything to learn and understand. But, again, it's like you hear there was the cheerleader who ended up not becoming a cheerleader because she was on an Instagram video or whatever singing along to a rap song, and she sang the N-word, and it's like it's kind of coming from a different place from someone who might be racist saying, well, if they can use it, I can use it too. Yeah. When you're saying it, it's like, I'm with these people, I'm totally ingrained with them. I don't want to be separated from them, and I'm cool like they are, whatever the motivation. But it's still wrong.
Right.
It's just still wrong.
And the guy I was talking about, I don't think he was racist.
Right.
I think it was the same thing. He used it because
he hears
it's
it all the time.
him.
Yeah, he hears it all the time. And it is a weird situation when, one race can use this term and their best friends who might be of another race can't use that term, but it's just a fact of life.
Well, but for like white people who use it, it's become a nuclear word. I mean, it's a nuclear bomb. If somebody says it. And I understand why it is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But one of the songs, and I think I've mentioned it before, Randy Newman has a song called Rednecks.
Right.
His album Good Old Boys. And the N-word is used in that.
Oh, okay.
Because at first you think, oh, well, he's taking the guise of a racist in Alabama or Georgia. I can't remember where he is in this one. But you think, oh, gosh, well, then, no, he's making fun of this guy.
Right.
And then by the end of the song, you realize he's calling everybody out.
Right.
Because you're offended by the N-word, but at the end of the song he says, they're free to be put in cages in Harlem and New York City and free to put in a cage and all these different places. He just lists all these basically ghettos around the country.
Right.
This is 1974 when this came out, or 73.
Right.
And so it makes a big impact. When you first hear that song, you're shocked and you're uncomfortable, and you get to the end of it, and it's one of the most powerful songs you'll ever hear just because he's put you through all these emotions, and at the end it makes you look at yourself as, okay, am I racist?
Right. Right.
But you couldn't, I don't think he can sing that song now.
He's got a lot of songs he probably couldn't get away with.
Yeah, well, Short People's another one, which was,
we talked about that. And
it was banned.
It was just a joke, blah, 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 but
He found the most. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
He found the most ludicrous thing he could think of to talk about prejudice. And people took it seriously.
yeah, it still struck a nerve, right?
Yeah.
Well, basically, you don't want to isolate anybody and make fun of them for being different.
Right.
That's kind of where we are,
But we've all that's all through history we differentiate.
Right.
And you're not going to ever erase that part of it.
Right.
We're on this team and you're on that team.
But you do what you can.
Yeah,
you do what you can.
Right.
You have civil conversation.
Right.
You draw your lines. You accept what you can accept. You can move forward with what you can move forward with.
And you understand people's ignorance and try
Right.
to educate them. And
Right.
that's the thing that I think is really missing is...
Well,
Go ahead.
and going back to Morgan Wallen, I think that something that saved him was that a number, first when the word came out, oh, Morgan Wallen's racist, people are like, oh, of course he is, country singer. Then they get the context, and it's like, okay, they know this is a problem. They know
Right.
white kids are going to do this, and they shouldn't do this, and it's hard to explain why, But, and ironically, the first thing Morgan Wallen got back on was, I think it was a Billboard award show, because, of course, he won like 10 awards for that. And it was P. Diddy who was running the show. And he said, okay, Morgan Wallen suffered enough. The apology tour is enough. So he green-lighted Morgan Wallen coming back into the consciousness.
But the disturbing part of that story is when that all came out and they had the video and people were talking about it, you had the people who wanted to completely cancel him.
Yep.
The other side absolutely sent his record sales into the stratosphere.
Yep.
And
that's
the disheartening.
Yeah. And, he's not, what I know about him, he's not one of those, righty,
no, I don't
crazy.
think so at all.
Because, he's like he's working with rappers and hip hop, and he has been. And he's, making it known that he loves hip hop. He's been working with, Post Malone.
Right.
And so, it's kind of like he's one of those figures that's kind of really meshing country and rap these days.
Yeah.
So I think he has a true love of hip hop, and that makes a difference too.
Well, I think it does, but that's the thing is the people who are racist or want to be offended or want to get on their backs up over this, they found a champion.
Right.
Even though that's not really who he is.
No, that's not who he is. So he kind of got it from both ends, being crazy country, white boy, using the N-word, or, he's a racist. So it's kind of like, and he did it to himself. And I know it was a candid video. I don't even know who shot the video. I don't even know if you can see him in the video.
I think it was a neighbor.
Okay.
Because they were being loud.
Yeah, because they were being loud.
And
right.
they were like shooting it out their window.
That's it. Yeah, they were being loud.
Yeah.
Because he had been out drinking. And then he turned around and last summer was throwing furniture off the top of the
he's
hotel.
done some
So it's like, dude,
stuff.
you got to get your act together.
But racist music, or racism in music, on the real, not trying to educate, man, things have gotten better than they were. The 60s you had Ray Stevens with Ahab the Arab.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a big hit.
Yeah.
And it was just every cultural stereotype that you could imagine thrown into a song.
Yeah.
Of course, then he also released a song called Would Jesus Wear a Rolex, co-written by Chet Atkins, who hated televangelists.
Right.
And some radio stations, including our biggest country radio station here, wouldn't play that.
Okay.
Because they were afraid of eventually, offending.
Oh, people get real nervous about any kind of religious stuff too.
But that's a great song.
Alley-oop made fun of cavemen.
And haven't they suffered enough?
I know.
They don't even exist now. And
Well, they're in insurance commercials.
in insurance commercials.
But, and you were talking about Half-Breed. There's Tim McGraw's Indian Outlaw, which is one of the most god-awful songs ever written. And it should have just failed just because it was a terrible song.
Yeah.
But, no. It was
Well, and you just got to look at each. It sounds like a lot of work and everything should be black and white, but you got to look at the intent of the song and, the time of the song. And if it was pushing, like Lola and Half-Breed, if it was like pushing for understanding, then you kind of have to give them room, to do that.
Right.
Which is kind of hard to do, I mean, what's she going to do? Say, I'm not Indian, but Native Americans should get, it's like, no, I mean, you're doing it in an artistic way. You're stirring empathy,
Yeah, and I mean,
and Lola is great, for that.
And what I was about to say earlier in this is like, how far do you take it? I mean, can a straight actor not play a gay person or a gay person not play a straight person? I mean, you can't tell anything.
Right.
It's not like somebody has to wear darkening makeup or something. It's like, where's the line?
Yeah, I mean,
You're an
in
actor.
response to this, like, you would be surprised how many straight actors have no attraction to each other at all when they have to do sex scenes.
Yes.
So it's like, it's not like, it's
Acting's
all
hard.
acting. It's all
Acting's hard.
acting. Yeah,
Right.
acting's hard.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
And to
yeah.
some extent,
So-
I mean, that's when people write songs, they're trying to get into the head of somebody else.
yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, there are people who've written terrible songs trying to do that, but the people who are honestly trying to get into that headspace, I don't think you should rake them over the coals for it. It's art.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've always culturally appropriated. Picasso stole from African artists.
Yeah.
People borrowed, I mean, black music has been the driving force behind popular music for decades and decades now. But when Otis Redding covers Bing Crosby from the 30s, that's not cultural appropriation. He took a song that he loved and he made it his. And people did that back and forth all through history. I mean, especially in the 60s and 70s, they would go back and forth.
I guess the cultural appropriation is more egregious maybe when it's, depending on where your culture ranks and privilege and everything.
I think that's true. Yeah.
So, if you're a person of color doing a, white culture
If you're a straight white
appropriation.
male, you don't
Yeah,
have
if you're
a
a straight
culture that
white
can
world,
be-
now you stay in your corner.
Stay in your lane,
just
Grandpa.
stay in your
Other
lane.
than us being Appalachian here.
Yeah.
And people can say all sorts of
Yep.
things about how stupid we are in
Yep.
Appalachia or how poor or whatever, or we're meth heads. And,
And all of that's true.
Meth is
well,
great.
for everybody in this room, but that's part of it is if someone is marginalized in some way or some area is marginalized, then you need to walk softly.
Yeah.
Check yourself.
Check
Yeah.
yourself.
Check
Before you wreck
exactly.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about Rolling Stones and Brown Sugar?
Oh my God, that's on my list. And it's a blessing sometimes that you can't understand lyrics.
Yeah.
Because when I actually realized what the lyrics were,
Oh yeah.
it was like, good God Almighty.
Way overboard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I had heard it. For a while I had heard it. It's like I got the gist of it, but I didn't sit down and listen to the words. Like it's like, oh God.
Well, it came out when I was like 11, and I thought, well, this is like, a guy who just likes being with black women. And then it's a slave trader who's basically raping his slaves.
Yeah.
And
And that's
it's
not
horrifying.
enlightening at all,
No, and it's like, and it's awful that it's on one of the best riffs of all time in rock music.
Yeah.
It's like, gosh.
Yeah.
But
I was going to throw out the Elvis Costello Oliver's Army too, where he uses the term.
Oh yeah,
He uses the N word.
yeah. One less,
But he says a white N word.
Well-
and he said that's what his uncle or whatever was called. And he went back and he erased that himself. He said, don't play it. I don't want anyone to play it.
Yeah.
Artists, they're like, okay, I realize times have changed and this was a bad idea. And people
Yeah.
don't understand, when white people were called that.
Well, there was a whole era, though, too, in music where, Patti Smith has a term that uses that, rock and roll, N-word. John Lennon and Yoko Ono have, woman is the N-word of the world. And it's like, and in some deference to that word meaning more than what we think it means, I think the first people who were called that were people from India.
Okay.
I think that's because the British had that term. And I think
Okay.
that, that's in Dr. Dolittle. If you read the original Dr. Dolittle, it's all over.
I
He's
have
talking
not.
about Indian people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a word. It's always been a disparaging word. But, yeah. nobody. It was very misguided for Patti Smith and John Lennon and Elvis Costello and everybody to use that and try to use that for white people.
Right. And that was going back. I was mentioning something about gypsies because, of course, Cher had the Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves, and she's kind of kicked that to the curb. And I saw just this big rant against Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac, Gypsy.
Oh, my goodness.
Right? And that song romanticizes this free spirit, woman. It's a beautiful song. There's no harm intended or anything like that. But like I say, this one tirade, it was just like they wanted her burned at the stake and everything, that she would even consider still doing this song Gypsy.
Well, people don't realize that, and I mean, it was a slur.
Yeah.
We didn't always know it was a slur.
Exactly. People didn't realize that.
Just like you're saying that she was talking about, or that she has in that song, is this kind of free and fun and pop culture.
Yeah, just like a muse, almost like a supernatural type of woman, you know.
But it was used by the Nazis and other people to characterize the Romani people.
Yeah.
And it now is definitely, I mean, it was meant to be a slur back then and was not embraced as a slur necessarily.
Right. I think Americans especially are less aware of that than
because
Europeans.
Because
we didn't have Roma people really. Right. So, or not much. Yeah. But then interesting, I saw, Uriah Heep, I couldn't find anything about them saying that they shouldn't be doing Gypsy. Because they have a Gypsy song, you know, and it's like, well, why is theirs okay? But who knows, Well,
there's all sorts of that stuff. And I mean, the witch doctor, David Seville, which is, culturally insensitive to black culture, black African culture.
Right.
But you have to look at that stuff in context of its time, which nobody wants to do.
No.
And make the judgment, is this still relevant?
Right.
Do I want to hear it?
Can it be modified, Can it be, upgraded with lyrics differently, or should it just be buried, or should it be accepted with, I don't know, disclaimer.
And rap there's going to be so much rap that people look back in 20 years.
Oh, I know. Well, I know. And, rap from the beginning, it kind of split, it was like there was political, Public Enemy type rap, which was looking for revolution and change, and it was like real ragged and pointed, and NWA did some of that too. But then there was also a branch of rap that celebrated gun culture, and you talk about sexism. Oh my God!
So much misogyny.
Yeah, so much misogyny there, and then there was like more humorous rap. And oddly enough, you would have something like Me So Horny. Seriously, Me So Horny got more restrictive, controversy.
Banned and sued. Luther Campbell got arrested.
Yeah. So in a way, it's like people are more afraid of sex than they are of politics or any of this other stuff.
By sexuality than by misogyny.
Yeah.
Or violence.
Yeah.
That's you look at movies and how movies are rated.
Yeah, I looked at I looked at just so much gun culture celebration in rap music, and I used to think, gosh, how is this okay? Why is it okay? It's like I don't know, and it's not just you've got it in other genres too, but that was one bent that was particularly popular in hip hop.
Right.
So, and country, everything from the Dixie Chicks, who are now the Chicks, to Jason Aldean, they've been, I don't know how you feel about country and where it stands in the, censorship. I think most of the time people know the lane they're supposed to be in, and they just take it and run with it.
We know the funny things. It's like we're talking about sex and racism and violence. The songs that got banned from country music were, the biggest one probably is Loretta Lynn's The Pill.
The Pill, right. So it's just birth control.
Well,
That's the controversy.
That was controversial.
Yeah,
It was.
Birth control is controversial.
And, I mean,
you can marry 14-year-old girls. That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
But she better not be on the pill.
But let a woman control her own body?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
And that was the thing with that song. I mean, I will always say she is the first musical women's liberation artist, even though she not everything follows the line. Mm-hmm. But don't come home and drinking with loving on your mind. And then the pill is basically like, no,
Right.
I'm going to do what I want.
Right.
Now I have the power to not be your brood hen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's powerful stuff, and radio was terrified of it.
Yeah.
And it was banned here on WIVK when that came out. That was, at that time, that was one of the most powerful country stations in the United States.
Didn't she also do Fist City?
Oh yeah, Fist City. When my man goes up picking up trash, he puts it in the garbage can. That's one of my favorite lines of all time.
Oh.
But yeah, she was a badass.
And because it was banned, it got it more attention than it ever would have gotten.
Yeah, well, I mean, it got a lot of attention, and
sure.
Yeah,
But she was smart enough to know that it was going to get good attention.
yeah, but nobody else had sang a song like that. There's never been a song that I know of other than that, specifically about birth control. It was a hit.
Right. Right. Well, moving into somewhat more modern times, you've got the musicians keep making the same kind of mistakes, just in different ways. And I think that Robin Thicke, Blurred Lines, great, catchy song. Apparently, they stole a riff from Marvin Gaye.
Sounds a lot like it.
It sounds like him, even though they proved that they didn't actually steal it. But
Right.
you would think it was a Marvin Gaye song.
But then beyond that, the more you listen to it, the more you watch the video, it's like, oh, wow, you guys are macking on these much younger women.
Yeah.
I think one of the women was topless, and they had to cut that scene from it. And the whole Blurred Lines being an indication of maybe she's had too much to drink, or maybe she's on something. And it's like, wow, are we celebrating... in this day and age, are we celebrating drugging women and making a game of hitting on these women who they don't have their faculties about them?
Yeah. And it keeps on going. I mean, of course, the controversy, we were talking about Christmas songs a while back with Baby It's Cold Outside.
Oh, yeah. Such a rapey song.
It is a rapey
song.
song. I'm sorry.
Song. Yeah.
Even when I was younger, I thought, yeah, he's going to get her drunk. And I mean, it's creepy.
Seems like she just wants to go home, dude.
Yeah, really.
Let her go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not exactly where I thought we were going.
Well, where did you want to go?
No, I like the fact that we didn't keep on kind of on script.
Well, I was going to do okay, let's break this down into 3 parts, and then I can talk. And it's just like, this isn't working out like that,
No, I think this is good.
All right.
Probably the most socially conscious edition of this podcast we've done.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, and it's like I said, I'm so ambivalent about it that really tore me, because it's like, I would say I'm about 80% woke. It's like I do try to listen to everything people say and every point people make, and I'm always open to changing, redoing my vocabulary or whatever. But there is overreach. There is overreach of just, demanding when people, they use it. And I said, lefties and righties and people in this center all do this. They take it as a power play to where they just try to take charge of people. And it's like, no, that's the wrong way to go about it.
Right.
I've said before, you don't shame people into being aware, and you don't. I don't know. It's just a real complicated thing. Like I say, I don't want art censored, and then I look back at some of the songs, and then we didn't really get into this either, but there are artists who are bad people, and it's like, are you going to separate what they do from their songs? And why is it? I think you said this already. It's like, it sort of depends on, who that person is, and it's like, are you going to let that one get away with it, but not that one get away with it?
Well, we need to do a whole show sometime on great artists who are horrible people, and whether or not we can enjoy their art.
Right.
Because there are some people I can still kind of enjoy their art,
right,
and there's others that I just can't.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I saw people talking about everyone from like Chris Brown. It's like, okay, you beat up Rihanna, you've beat up other women. Yeah. I'm just not going to listen to you anymore. Right. And like for me, I've brought her up before, but Lizzo, she was such a figure for body positivity and everything, and then she's turning around and calling her backup singers fat and stuff like that. It's like, ooh, please don't tell me that that's not how you really are. Yeah. And I like to think she's not. And we always want to give people the benefit of the doubt, And I did want to say this about the sexual assault. I know people say, oh, well, it's just an artist and people are just trying to get money and blah, 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 when they're putting these. What I know is that more than 90% of the time that there's a sexual assault charge, it's definitely based on truth. That doesn't mean everybody is guilty. And there probably is a somewhat higher incidence of making a sexual assault charge against someone in power with money than there is, just Joe Blow and everything.
And there's also miscommunication. I think it's I can't remember the comedian that was accused of
Aziz Ansari.
Yeah, Aziz Ansari. And it was like that was such a gray area.
It was a very gray area.
He seemed to think that consent was there.
Yeah, and they were involved in sexual activity. So,
right.
Yeah,
and it's one of the things we were taught so much. That, this is the way romance is. This is the way everything goes.
Right.
And it's like, no, you need to actually talk about it.
Right.
Very candidly.
Yeah. It sounded like, from what I heard, it just sounded like something that would happen in a porn movie or whatever, just natural evolution of lovemaking process and everything. And I do... and I think that's the only charge he's had against him and everything. It's like, okay. But again, that's going to happen maybe 10% of the time. So you do have to, you can't just assume a man's guilty because he's been charged with something, or a woman has been charged with something like that. But there's probably some grounds for it, especially when you get to 6 people or 8 people. No, seriously. And there are people who march along with 20 different people have alleged, some kind of abuse. It's like, okay, I'm really having a hard time here giving you the benefit of the doubt anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. You want to give our recommendations? Do you think we've covered it?
Sure. I think we've covered it. And I do want to give a recommendation. So this is me pivoting now in a little bit of a way. Okay. But I do think that our sensitivity and everything is making us kind of soft.
Yeah.
No, just hang on here.
I think I'm going to agree with you.
I think it's making us kind of soft because, we are really connected with our feelings. And like I've heard a lot of hard rock and everything, and it's still more about feelings and stuff like that. And stuff like punk music is like, where's that? Where's that now? And there was a band, and I know you knew Atari Teenage Riot.
Right.
And they're from Germany. They're from Berlin.
Oh, okay.
And Alec Empire was the founder, and it was a threesome and then a foursome. And they were a rise. Their whole thing was a political rise against the rise of neo-Nazism in Germany. So they were very political.
Right.
And their music he called it digital hardcore, and I guess it still exists, but. It's thrashing. He said that he deliberately wants his music to be so demanding that you can't do anything else when it's playing, which I appreciate too. And the songs are so political, and it's like this whole kind of built on the premise that your governments, international governments, and big business and the wealthy people are all conspiring to take all of your time and your energy and your money, leaving you just kind of on the fumes of dreams of, being able to achieve anything. And to stand up for that, he's got all these great songs. The album I'm recommending here, their first album was 1995, Delete Yourself, and then they had one called 60 Second Wipeout in 1999. But those were German releases. The Beastie Boys, for one album, they released in 1996, Burn, Berlin, Burn. And it was on their Grand Royal label. The Beastie Boys released it. And it's got great songs from both of those first two albums. And there's like all kinds of just great songs like Sick to Death and Atari Teenage Riot. This is definitely punk, a somewhat more modern punk because it's a lot of digital and everything. Delete Yourself, Speed, and my favorite song is Destroy 2,000 Years of Culture. That's the name of it. And, he's like, I won't calm down. What am I supposed to do? I sing the song of freedom to hate. Try to think international. Whatever it takes for change, I'm up for it. You should feel guilty if you're just watching. And I mean, it's like there's like a call for violence and everything. And part of me is like, oh, this is like extremist music, but we're so focused now on just kind of accepting the systems that we have around the world, especially, the capitalist, Western systems. So anyway, on that cherry note.
Well, this is interesting because I walked in here and as I was driving here, I came up with my recommendation, and it's political too.
Okay.
But it's not punk at all. It's actually a song written. It's just, I'm recommending the song. That's How Every Empire Falls is written by R.B. Morris. It's been recorded by John Prine and Marianne Faithfull and a whole bunch of people through the years. And it comes from R.B.'s album Spies, Lies, and Burning Eyes. I just checked. It's on Spotify and Apple and every place else. But it's a great song about your personal responsibility in the empire.
Yeah. That's the same thing with Atari Teenage Riot. It's like you are responsible for change if you want change. And you should feel guilty if you're just watching.
Right.
And
this song is it depicts different people in different situations. And what should they do? Do they just go along with things they know are wrong?
Right.
Or do they take some action? And the end of the song is that's how every empire falls.
Right.
And it's powerful. I mean, it's powerful enough that John Prine, who hardly ever covered anybody, recorded it.
Right.
And then I'm sure that Hal Wilner, the producer who produced Marianne Faithfull, probably introduced it to her. And her version may be my favorite.
Okay.
But it's a great song. He's a great artist. You can find lots of other things by him, but that is one of his defining songs.
Right. And you really, I mean, this was one of the big things with music for a long time, promoting social change and everything. Yeah. And you really should be more responsible. And this is what I'm saying, with all this other stuff I'm ambivalent about, we're spending way too much time wondering if people are houseless or homeless versus what in the what is happening in our bigger picture here in the world, and are you ever going to get ahead? Are you just sliding backward, and just buying into like this coalition of the powers and wealth above you? Right. So, and I know that sounds really radical, and I'm not really, I mean, I like puppies and stuff too.
Well, I just want people to be able to talk honestly, and actually say things without somebody like shutting down immediately, and not listening to each other. And I think that's what's happening. And we need more discourse rather than less discourse and less polarizing on one side or the other.
Just positivity. Just try to keep things positive. And we're all people. We do all love puppies, or most of us do. I mean, we have a lot of things. We have more in common than we have differences, and we just play off the differences all the time.
Well, I will tell you that part of my philosophy is if I think somebody might be saying something to offend me, and there's a possibility they're not, I assume that they're not.
Yeah.
And it's you win in both ways.
Yeah.
One way, you're not angry.
Right.
And in the other way, if they're trying to offend you, it's frustrating as hell when you're not offended by it.
Yeah.
And you're not
you don't let them in your head. Don't let them get in your head.
It drives them crazy.
Yeah.
John, did you have a recommendation?
It's not a recommendation for new music, but I was doing a little stroll down memory lane this past weekend and was listening to some of my favorite artists from the 80s. And I hadn't listened to this album in a long time, and just it's really stood up to me. It stood up over time, and I like it even better now, and that's Thomas Dolby and the Golden Age of Wireless.
Oh, okay.
It's a great record.
Yeah.
It's got so many good textures, and the songs are really well written, and it's catchy, and I don't know. It's a great record. So if you hadn't heard it in a while, dust it off.
I love how you bring us back to what we're supposed to be focused on anyway.
Yeah, we went way
music
off.
and good music. I don't know if we're even talking about what's music and good music and everything, but I like that. So
Yeah.
So
I have a movie recommendation too, and so I've got Atari Teenage Riot. Like I say, Burn Berlin Burn came out in '96, and that was probably the one that's going to be most accessible for American audience. But I'm going to take a different direction for the same message, and that's that 1988 John Carpenter movie, They Live,
Oh, yeah.
with Roddy Piper and Keith David and Meg Foster. And this movie, he usually makes horror films and everything, and I guess there's a little element of that, but not really. It's more of an action movie, and I can do the basic premise, and that is that aliens have taken over the world, and they're working in collaboration with some of the more powerful, wealthy humans. And these people, it's very kind of jokingly amateurish in a way because of how old it is and all that. Right. But they're the sunglasses. You remember the sunglasses from this movie. If you wore the sunglasses, you could see the aliens in a different light, and you would see that they were like
Scary faces,
and you could see hidden messages in all the billboards as they like buy, and all that stuff. So, but it's really the same theme of like government, wealthy people kind of controlling the masses.
The whole QAnon movement could have come from that movie.
Yeah.
The
Seriously.
reptile people.
And also, just as a sidekick, I don't know if you remember this, but Roddy Piper and Keith David have like the longest fight scene I think I've ever seen, and it was comically long.
Right.
And South Park even spoofed it in one of their shows. So, and the whole thing, this movie really came out of all the years of Reagan. And if you were born after Reagan, you don't understand how that changed America. And he was president pretty much through the whole 80s, like from 81 to 90 or to 89.
Yeah.
So, pluses and minuses about his regime or whatever. But that was where this came from.
Well, my movie recommendation is we must have been just on a political bent this last week.
I guess we were.
Because mine is A Face in the Crowd from 1957.
Oh, okay.
Andy Griffith's first movie, which if you've seen Andy Griffith is, Andy Taylor in the Andy Griffith Show and is Matlock, well, you got something else coming to you with this.
Okay.
Because he plays just a kind of a country rube guy that gets discovered and becomes a force on television and radio, and becomes a monster. It's kind of a Huey P. Long story. Huey P. Long, the governor of Louisiana, and he's about to go into politics, but he's totally disingenuous of everything. He is an awful person.
Okay.
And Patricia Neal and Walter Matthau are two of the people who help him get there and realize that they've made a mistake.
Okay.
But it is so prescient to what
57, you say?
1957, directed by Elia Kazan, and it is so prescient in con men who manipulate people in politics today that it's kind of stunning when you watch it. I watched the TCM showed it a couple of nights ago, and I never can stop watching it when it's on because it is such a good movie, and the ending of it just leaves you like, man.
What's the name of the movie again?
A Face in the Crowd.
A Face in the Crowd.
And it is terrific. And Patricia Neal, Walter Matthau, it's even got Lee Remick in one of her earliest roles.
Okay.
But Andy Griffith was a tremendous actor, and if you've only seen him doing comedy stuff and being the nice guy, watch this. Okay. This is absolutely terrific. John, you got something?
Well, I hate to keep coming back to the same thing, but I was reminded of this as we were talking earlier today. My wife and I are still working our way through The Good Fight, which is a spinoff of The Good Wife,
Right.
With Christine Baranski, and she's the main character, and it's all about Donald Trump. And the whole show, I mean, it's really centered on that. And in this one episode recently that we watched, she wakes up and looks at the TV, and Hillary Clinton is the president. And I mean, it's like all the stuff that she's just been bent out of shape about. It's all gone the exact opposite direction. She goes into work, and her partners all stand and cheer for her that she's landed this new client that they're so thrilled about, and it's going to help their. And the client is Harvey Weinstein.
Oh boy!
And she's like, "What? I'm supposed to be his lawyer? Oh my God!" And it just brings all of these things that we've been talking about today.
Yeah, it does.
And like, so the women who are in charge of everything because Hillary's president, and they're all like, and she's like, "You're not concerned about Harvey Weinstein?" And they're like, and the woman who's like Hillary Clinton's Secretary of State's like, no, he's done so much good for women. I mean, he's a little handsy, but he does so much good for women.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty eye opening.
Interesting.
Wow.
That show's really, it just continues to impress me. It's the good fight.
And who's streaming that?
It's on Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. Okay. I got that.
So,
all right. Are we done?
I think we're done.
Okay, well, we'll get out of here. Maybe next time we'll have songs about puppies, kittens, and all that. So hang in there with us, and thank you for giving us your time.
You've been listening to How We Heard It with Chuck Campbell and Wayne Bledsoe, a podcast about music, art, culture, movies, whatever they want to talk about. How We Heard It was recorded in Knoxville, Tennessee at the Arbor Studio by John Baker. If you believe you've been abducted by aliens during listening to this podcast, we take no responsibility for that. How We Heard It is a Tear Owl production, and if you'd like to reach out to Chuck or Wayne, send an email to howweheardit@gmail.com. Come on back next week and we'll have another show for you.